Waken, pilgrim, born to toil. Slake this cracked and blackened soil. Rendered by your demon lord, tend their beacons, build a cord. Sate their greed, or taste their lashes. Raise an army from the ashes. Nurse their creatures, make your stand. Consecrate this cursed land. Mother, fury, more spellcaster. Choose ye wisely which your master. Tread with care, or face their wrath, as you walk the deadly path.
The Deadly Path is a roguelike game that combines building management, occult deities, survival mechanics, and some real-time strategy elements, and it then mixes it all together and cranks the whole thing up a good few notches. It's the first game I've played by Skip Enterprises, and if all their future releases are this much fun, it certainly won't be the last. The Deadly Path sees you as the custodian, whose task it is to build out a dungeon and complete the ascension of a host of particularly unpleasant gods. You'll do this by expanding your dungeon empire, collecting resources and materials, and fighting off waves after waves of surface raiders until you can complete the grand task that the god of that level has demanded of you. The depths are represented by a grid of squares that you pay an amount to turn over and then reveal. Each tile has a specific landscape on it, and they all have distinct characteristics which affect how and what you can build at your base. It's here that the roguelike elements come into play. The tiles are all assigned randomly with a bias towards some, depending on things like what god you're playing with, what deity you worship, and what landscape you're playing on. One of the main things that will strike you as you get into the Deadly Path is the pace that the game plays at. Past the first few turns, the game will up the ante at breakneck speed. You have to keep your bone intake up to make sure that you can build replacements for all the buildings that expire. You have to keep your meat intake up so you can continue to explore, to find places for all those replacements. You have to keep your gold intake up to enable you to build the mid-tier buildings and maintain all your defenses. You have to keep your knowledge intake up to enable all the higher tier buildings, and you have also to make sure you have enough surplus of all these every minute or so to keep your upkeep quota, or you'll fail the level. It's genuinely exciting to try and keep all these plates spinning at the same time while trying to advance the level. Once you advance to the next stage, you've then got entrances and raids to contend with. Entrances are enemy spawn points, and each one has a set route that the raiders will take to get to your dungeon heart. They reach it, it's game over. So you have to construct defences along the raiders' route and stock them with defenders. Raid defences are also pretty much the only way of acquiring the blood resource. In true Deadly Path fashion, each entrance has its own spawn timer and own path, and the raids increase in strength each wave, so you've yet more issues to deal with. The Deadly Path reminds me of those runner mobile games where the aim isn't really to complete the levels, it's just to see how far you can go and how much shit you can deal with before the whole thing collapses.
Victory condition achieved.
It's also here that the main issue with the Deadly Path rears its head. A lot of the game's elements aren't balanced well at all and work against each other. For a game based around ensuring that you've got enough of every resource every minute, the game's roguelike elements often work against this principle. It seems that whenever you need a particular land tile, those tiles suddenly become very scarce. Need knowledge for an end level structure, you'll find there's none to be found. This becomes an issue in late stage play as exploring becomes incredibly precarious, as there will be a massive amount of entrances thrown at you. As each entrance requires a raft of attention to deal with, it has the effect of making the players kettle themselves up and only explore one tile at a time, which again works against the rapid expansion and resource gathering mechanic. This creates a schism whereby the player needs and wants to explore, but won't because hitting an entrance will completely derail the play, and due to the entrances cropping up so frequently, you'll find that as you approach the end game, if you don't already have most of the level objectives complete, you'll probably won't even bother with them. The player will just go onto autopilot until they get crushed by raids or upkeep, and then use their green orbs to make the next run a bit easier. This was one of my main gripes with the Deadly Path. You can play perfectly and still fail the level because you just weren't given enough to progress. Nothing was more infuriating to me while playing the Deadly Path than grinding through a tough 15 minutes only to miss my upkeep because I kept drawing the wrong tiles. It made the playthrough feel like a real waste of time. I'm not much of a fan of the whole random number generator rinse and repeat style of game design. I feel it's lazy and an egregious way of padding out the gameplay, and it's the sole reason I haven't racked up more errors on the Deadly Path than I have. Which is a real shame because the Deadly Path has everything going for it. Good graphics and artwork, great music, and fun, frantic gameplay. It just needs some balancing to avoid the usual bugbears that roguelikes run into, and then it's a dead cert. Keep your eye on this one, get it if you think you like the look of it, and watch out for the patch list.
Food, mortal.